Week 3 of the NFL season is here. It's flying by. I can't believe we're in week 3 already. Soon we're going to get into a lot of in-season content, playoff best ball, all that's coming soon. But first, we got to talk about what we've learned in the first 2 weeks, who we're excited for moving forward, what we're thinking about these week 3 games and some of these teams that have maybe shown us something different than we expected all through May, June, July, August. We're going to dive into all of that here Tuesday night, Spike Week Sickos. Best ball year round, baby. We don't stop talking about best ball. That's what we're going to do tonight. Week 3, a little bit of a preview. Let's do it.
3, 2, 1, liftoff.
Rob, it's Tuesday. I am starting. We mentioned last night I'm getting very old and having some minor back issues. And on a positive note, I still get carded when I go to the bar and all that kind of stuff. So it's like on one hand, I'm limping into, the grocery store and all that kind of stuff, but I also still get carded. So that does make it helps offset it a little bit. Also feeling like fall is coming, the seasonal change is coming. I'm starting to feel a little bit under the weather. I have huge Rashad Penny and Damian Harris bags that are also making me probably feel very, very
heavy.
At this, they're very heavy. That's why the back is hurting, I'm pretty sure, is having drafted a bunch of those guys. But we talked about it last night. Week 2 was a lot more fun, I think, in the fantasy football space. And I am pretty excited, actually, for moving forward. Unfortunately, we have had, some injuries and all that. But generally speaking, I think we saw some more life from some of the situations that didn't look as good that we thought would be good in week 1. And I think the week 3 slate of games is pretty fun, especially for some of the really appealing fantasy spots. We'll get to the Chiefs, of course, playing the Bears. We'll get to all these different games. But I think week 3, I'm feeling more positive than last week when we did the show. I was kind of like,
it was bad.
Week 1 was so bad.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about any of this. And so this week, I'm feeling a little bit more optimistic.
Yeah, and I think there's some stuff like that we even kind of glossed over last night that as we go game by game, we're going to be able to hit on a little bit more. So just put a star next to Russell Wilson when we talk about Denver, because we laugh, but Russell Wilson, in terms of fantasy production, has been there for the first 2 weeks of this season.
You think he's going to throw another Hail Mary for a touchdown that gets tipped by 4 people into the end zone? Did you see that?
Yeah, I did see that. That was ridiculous. But he was still having a decent fantasy day before that.
Yeah.
Right? And he was rushing and everything. So we'll hit on that, see if we think that production is going to keep going on. What did you think of having a double header for Monday Night Football last night? Because
I hated it.
You
I hated every moment. I hated every moment of it because it was total crossover. I think a little bit of crossover is probably okay, but they basically both games were going on at all times. We obviously had a show and ran a little late into partway through the first quarter of the first game, so that maybe impacts it a little bit. But I actually kind of like the doubleheader on Monday. I think it's adding turning one more day into a real football day, right? 6 hours of football. But when it's all totally crossed over, I guess the saving grace, I don't know if this is good or bad, but the second game took 4.5 hours or whatever it was to finish. It was so ungodly long that it made it feel maybe a little bit more like old school Monday night when they would really chop up the start times. But I know we're going to get more of those throughout the course of this year. And I think more of those moving on into the future. As Artie says, we also got, it was bad. The teams, the teams that were playing was really bad. So that's part of it. If we had, one of the Dolphins games or something on there, maybe it'd be a little bit different. But I thought it was pretty poorly planned out. It felt to me, at least.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't know how else you do it, because when they did separate them, because remember they used to do the Monday night game week 1, they used to do the doubleheader and they would do one at like 7:30 and the other one would start at 10:30. And it's like, dude, I don't know if I can stay up till on the East Coast 1, 2 a.m. watching, you know,
Yeah, it's tough for you. It's tough in the Central Time Zone. God forbid the Eastern Time Zone. Yeah, I don't
yeah,
think I was struggling to stay up for for the game last night, and it started at 7:15.
especially if it's like a game like Carolina, New Orleans. Like, who the hell wants to stay up for? I mean, either of them, kind of, really,
Yeah,
right? You really wouldn't want to stay up till 2 a.m. to watch either of those games. So I don't know. I'm torn. I think my biggest problem with it, like this is just such the one time technology advancement is failing us, is I watch it through like an app on my Fire Stick, and all I want on that Fire Stick is a last button channel like we used to have on the cable buttons,
yep,
you
hmm
know, where you can just flip between 2 channels constantly, like we used to do in the '90s with, Nitro and Monday Night Raw,
exactly. You just keep
right?
going.
You just
Up the Raw's on commercial. I gotta go see what's going on. You know what's NWO doing, right? I gotta go, and then let's go see what Shawn Michaels is doing. Like that was my life. That was my
right.
life for years.
Yeah, you just hit that button and it's like boom, 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 boom. And this one, I'm like, go back, find other NFL game. What channels? And it's like a 4-step process. And you're like,
Yep,
this is stupid. So that's my boomer take of the day is I don't like that advancement. I could have just set one of the computer monitors up
I
to
know.
watch both of them, but I mean, I shouldn't have to. I should be able to do what I want to do.
Exactly. The problem isn't that I can't do the things I want to do. It's that I'm getting old, and I just want you to make it easy on me.
Yeah,
You know,
we're
like
so old.
I am that guy shaking
Yeah.
my fist at the television. Like, why do I have to click 3 buttons to go to the channel I was on right before this? When I was 6 years old, I could flip back to the channel before this.
Right.
This is very, very, very stupid. But really quick, while we're getting out our venting stuff, something I've been thinking about actually. You know me, I'm a weird guy, little galaxy brain guy. I like to take lessons a lot of the times that actually I apply to best ball from maybe some games that are not at all related to best ball, whether it be poker, DFS, or chess, or like anything. And I also like to like take lessons from some things that are like totally external to any of this stuff. I listen to lots of sports podcasts, of course, but not like, I know you're right. You're big in the ghost space. So like you're learning things about a totally different industry that of course are not like one-to-one parallels. You're not studying something about a haunted prison and learning 100% a one-to-one best ball metaphor. But you like, it's really funny how frequently you can pick up things from external resources. And it was really funny last night. It's obviously Nick Chubb goes down with a really brutal injury, out for the rest of the year, and that really sucks. I drafted a bunch of Nick Chubb. I was, if you go look at the Spike Week rankings, I was over or higher than market on Nick Chubb. I thought he was going to have a monster year, and I still feel like he was going to have a monster year. But like, what I don't get about the space that we're in, and I feel like it trickles down into like this lesson that I'm going to say in just a second, so please bear with me, folks, is when Nick Chubb gets hurt and everybody runs out to be like, if you want to post so like I posted this is where this is coming from. I posted a picture of his actual injury on Twitter, that the Minka Fitzpatrick hitting him in the side. His leg is bent in a very, very awkward way. That's of course why he blew out his knee. And people are just like, delete this. Like, you're a bad person. Like, the one person said, like, karma is going to come get you. You're not going to advance any basketball teams. And I'm just like, I didn't say anything negative about Nick Chubb. I actually didn't say anything negative at all. I posted a picture of the game that you were watching. Like, you watched this happen in real time. It's posted everywhere. It's gonna be posted everywhere. It's probably gonna be a meme for a long time, like the Willis McGahee injury and all that, because his leg was it was bad. It really, really sucks. But guess what? If you want to be in the fantasy football space, this is what you signed up for. And the morality police they're not going to come save you during the course of the fantasy football season. And I feel like there's this weird trickle-down effect from this idea of virtue. Like really, this is what it was. It was virtue signaling, being like, thoughts and prayers for Nick Chubb. Like, stop it. You don't care about Nick Chubb. You never cared about Nick Chubb's health before today. You're doing it because you want people to view you as like this good person. And so we're through 2 weeks of the NFL season. And I think to the extent that people want to be viewed as good people, they also want to be viewed as right through 2 weeks. It's so easy to dig your heels in through a couple of weeks and be like, it's a long season, or I've run bad so far. And of course we don't want to overreact to the first two weeks, like a particular both you and I think drafted a bunch of Marvin Mims. I love the score he got me this past week, but also he ran 5 routes, I believe it was.
It's like 5 or 7 routes or something like that.
Fantasy points per route was really goddamn impressive for Marvin Mims, but let's not get out over our skis and say like, oh, look at me, I'm the king because I was big on Marvin Mims. And I think it kind of goes back to the I would rather be right than make money type of phrase that we use a lot during the offseason that I like is one of my biggest beliefs, that once the season gets here, it's like I would rather like be mad or like be offended than like be real about what's happening. And it's like I know that the kind of pearl clutching or whatever is a little bit more like 1-to-1 with that type of a thing, but it happens during like best ball stuff. So why all this stupid shit came into my head is one of my good buddies who is a pretty he got I think 5th on drafters last year. He's a good fantasy player, but he asked me like, who should I cut amongst these guys to pick up Jerome Ford? And one of them was Cam Akers. And I said, buddy, who do you think sticks out amongst that group that you just sent me? The guy who the team said, don't come to the game. We're not going to play you. We're going to trade you, right? Cam Akers. And he was like, yeah, but I drafted him in the 6th round. And, I thought he was going to be good. Maybe he'll get traded. And it's like, no. You're still trying to be right about Cam Akers. We know now.
Yeah, it's great.
You've mentioned it. You mentioned it a bunch of times over the summer about like in the last week. Sometimes teams show us, right? Rashad Penny. You want to know who has the biggest Rashad Penny pegs like in the industry? This fucking dumbass that you're looking at right here. And guess what? I'm willing to admit that I said it last night. I'm praying for like Eagles to go undefeated again and Rashad Penny to be like the guy in week 17 because I don't think he really has outs. Like anything can happen, but he doesn't really have outs to being a useful fantasy asset. And it's like, if I wanted to like be right about Rashad Penny, I would be like, no, it was still a good bet. And I think it was fine to draft him, but we can reset when the season starts, right? Like reset on Cam Akers, dude. Cam Akers is cut him in all of your leagues. You're praying the ceiling outcome is what? He's a backup for the Ravens or a backup for the Browns. Like just throw that aside. And it's so anyway, this whole like trickle down, like lesson learned, because these are lessons that I'm learning as well along the way. And it's like, I know we're heading only into week 3. We don't know what's going to win best ball tournaments. Mostly health and week 17 and all that are going to decide that. But we have learned things, and you don't have to be like you don't have to clutch your pearls and say, no, I was right about Cam Akers. It's like, buddy, you were wrong about Cam Akers. It's time to move on. I was wrong about Rashad Penny. It's time to move on. It's okay. It's okay to do that. You know what I mean? It's okay to say, Nick Chubb got hurt, man. It sucks for Nick Chubb. I feel bad for him, but also he's made $40 million in his career. And guess what? Injuries are part of football. He signed up for that. I feel bad. I legit do feel bad. I played football. My dad is a football coach. I'm a football bro, but like, let's not pretend like these things are more serious than they are when you're drafting Tyreek Hill and you're drafting Deshaun Watson and you're drafting Big Ben and Alvin Kamara. Like you're drafting bad people. You gave away your morality card a long time ago. So let's not do that. Let's not like I said, clutch our pearls and say, oh my God, how dare you post the Nick Chubb thing. And then on the flip side with best ball is like, don't clutch your pearls with Cam Akers and say like, no, I still believe. It's like, it's over, man. It's okay. They showed us. Sean McVay just told us on Sunday. It's over. So let's move on and let's assess the rest of the season. And I think it was like a microcosm of a bunch of things where I just felt like, I know it's early, but we learn a lot early. And I think we've learned a lot early in these first 2 weeks of this best ball season.
I think learning how to actually interpret that sometimes is important too. And with the Nick Chubb thing, dude, I hate injuries. I particularly hate injuries where the guy is screaming on the field. Like that shit makes me
I
cringe.
changed the channel. It made me
I
sick.
changed the channel too. Because I can't stand that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to see it, so I'm not going to search it out. I know it's out there. I know if I want to go see that play, I can go find it if I want to find it. If you don't want to see it, don't look for it. Scroll past it, right? Like it sucks. And the other thing, like the thing that I reacted to like for a second last night was I saw like within 15 minutes, somebody relatively big in the industry was like, what the Nick Chubb injury means, who you should be targeting to replace him, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, and I'm like, that feels like a little distasteful. And then I thought about it. It's like, but do I think it's this? What if he waits 2 hours?
It's his job.
Technically, the next day, it's his job. This is what we do. Like it is what we do. Do I love it? No, but it is part of the thing.
You signed up for this. This is what you signed up for.
Yeah.
You don't have to love it. I don't love it.
Yeah, nobody loves it.
I don't love having to give my Jerome Ford assessment after Nick Chubb just blew out his knee and probably ended his career. I hate it. Also, I drafted like 15% Nick Chubb. So guess what? I'm not happy about it either for my own bank account.
Yeah.
But like, this is what you put FF at the end of your Twitter handle. You write waiver wire columns. You do fantasy football content.
Part of it.
Welcome to the game. You signed up for it. So let's not do the white knight thing. You know what I mean? It is what it is. It is a very, very unfortunate part of this whole space that we are in. But there's a lot more serious shit that goes on in the world. Like Nick Chubb's going to be okay. Like he didn't die. Nobody did anything like prejudicial or racist or, and none of that happened. He got hurt in a really brutal game that he knew that was the risk that he signed up for. I played a lot of football games in my life. I knew what I was signing up for all those. I never wanted to get hurt. I never wanted to see someone get hurt. It is just part of this game. And
it happens, man. It happens. Yeah. This 2 surgeries on this hand. From football.
I'm complaining as a 35-year-old middle-class white dude who has like, God bless me with all the luxuries that you can get, in life. And I'm complaining about my back because when I was 16 years old, I hurt it. Right. And it's still following me around to this day. So just is what it is. And I just want to, a little pet peeve of mine that I'm clearly ranting about. But I also think, like I said, the line of thinking, we can draw some of these parallels to certain things, where it's like, no, like don't do the thing that's necessarily what you feel the public wants you to do. Like dig your heels in and be like, no, I was right about Cam Akers. No, I was right about Rashad Penny. No, I was right about this, whatever. It's like, we've learned things. Adapt. Try to win this game that you're playing now. Don't try to go to war on Twitter with people. Don't try to look like the nicest guy on Twitter. That's not the goal of this game. The goal is to go, dude, I'm trying to win money. I don't actually give 2 shits about Rashad Penny, and that sounds cruel or whatever, but it is what it is. He's a chess piece for me to try to, that's what I signed up for in best ball, right? Tyreek Hill is scum of the earth, but he's a chess piece to help me win money. And so it is what it is. And moving forward, I wish we would all accept that kind of as an industry instead of doing the holier than thou thoughts and prayers. Like, let's stop the thoughts and prayers portion of fantasy football.
You know how people just want likes and stuff. But to your point, we kind of brought this thought process up last night, where we talk about like learning what people are telling us within, and we're not going to nail everything 100%.
Yep.
Like, I think we pretty much knew after week 1 that Bills game was kind of an outlier. Didn't mean that they're going to be this like amazing offense, but like we knew the Bills were going to bounce back after that Jets game. They have problems with the Jets. It didn't mean that the Bills were going to be bad the whole time.
Correct.
But there's also things on the other side that aren't outliers. And we talked about one last night to help prove your point. JSN, right? Like JSN was probably at the moment a bad pick where he was going in best ball drafts. 5th to 7th round. We knew what the pathway probably was. We were betting on his talent being able to ascend and get a front of these guys. Totally understand that. But I think the Seahawks are telling you at the moment, you're not getting that JSN production without a DK Metcalf or a Tyler Lockett injury that you are actually looking for. He is only playing the slot. He's only playing 3 wide receiver sets for the most part going
He's
forward.
only getting low A-dot targets, which is maybe even more important than all, like when you combine everything that you just said. So not more important, but you combine only playing 3 wide receiver sets, only playing the slot, only his A-dot's like 1.8 or something like that. That's not good. It's not, you need like 12 targets a game to produce on a 2 yard A-dot. He's not going to get that. He's going to get 6, 7, 8, something like that as a ceiling.
Yeah. So like these are the things we're looking at. And it's like I particularly don't see it changing with that team, especially on a team that doesn't want to throw the football that much too. So you just like mix all of that in, right? And it's just like JSN, we were betting on the talent more so than the situation. And we're learning really quick that we should have been betting for this particular situation. We should have been betting on the situation rather than the talent. That's going to be reversed sometimes. We saw it reversed in Minnesota a few years ago, right? Where
Justin Jefferson,
Justin Jefferson is going to be the poster child for this for the next 15 years, where the situation looked bleak, but we knew the talent was probably there, but we didn't bet on the talent. We bet on the situation. So it goes both ways. It's just trying to evaluate that process throughout the season. And I actually was only drafting JSN because I was scared to be the guy that didn't have JSN. like to be honest with you. So like my JSN bags aren't that packed, but I'm like, man, if I'm the only one, it happens. You're just like, dude, I can't be the only one that doesn't like, what am I missing?
Yeah. You're like, everybody over there looks like they're having a lot of fun, right? That was what it was. It's like, look at that. They got a keg and they're frying some burgers and like all this different stuff. And it's like, that seems pretty fun over there. I'm over here in Tyler Lockett land with all the Najee Harris drafters. Like, this isn't very fun over here. But no, I agree. I mean, my bags are fully packed. JSN's one of, if not my highest owned player across all sites. And it's exactly like what I was talking about before. I don't have a problem with the process, but I'm also willing to, after 2 weeks, say, this was the scenario in which you were concerned about, is that DK Metcalf is still DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett is still Tyler Lockett. And like, it is hard for him to be a smash almost at any cost. If those guys, if he can't, he has to elevate. He has to elevate his own play. I don't mean anything else. JSN, the bet was this dude is, generational, right? It was the Jamar Chase bet. It was like, you're betting on rookie Jamar Chase. Now, Tyler Boyd is not Tyler Lockett, so it was a little bit different. But like T. Higgins is really good. Tyler Boyd is good. You were betting on Jamar Chase because you were like, nah, this dude, he's him, right? Yeah, he's the man. Garrett Wilson, he's the man. And Justin Jefferson, he was the man. That was the bet on JSN because you were, like you said, you were betting on talent. But so far, I think the talent looks fine, but I'm not like in season-long leagues, I own him. I own him in the FFPC main event. I traded way too much for him in like some dynasty leagues. I'm not starting him, right? So that's like the key sign is like, how much do you believe right now? I don't. He feels more like an Amon-Ra St. Brown bet right now, rookie year Amon-Ra bet, as opposed to a Justin Jefferson or Garrett Wilson or Jamar Chase rookie year bet, which is like, I don't know, week 1. Those guys are superstars. And that's important. It's important to understand for expectations moving forward.
Yeah. And then I saw the comment in the chat about Rashad Bateman. How worried are you about him? And I think that's I think this goes to the other end of it, right? We knew that he was coming back from an injury. The Ravens said that they were going to bring him back slowly. He wasn't going to get a full workload coming into the season, right? So that one, I think the jury's still out on. And I'm not trying to like reaffirm my priors with this one, but legitimately they did say that he was going to get slowly brought back into the offense and not be getting a full complement of routes. And they weren't lying to you. It's exactly what you're seeing.
Yeah. Go check the Nelson Aguilar. Go check the Nelson Aguilar box score from week 2. What Rob just said is true based on solely Nelson Aguilar's production.
We see this in week 8. Week 7, maybe that's when we start to get a little bit more worried. But if we're slowly bringing a guy back, then I'm not as concerned about it at the moment. And there's a few other guys like that we know. Like, so Breece Hall, right? Nobody's really concerned about Breece Hall, and we know they're slowly bringing him back.
I am.
Well, but I
you
mean,
know what I mean. You know
but
what I mean.
for the Zach Wilson thing, but dude, they can't keep trotting Dalvin Cook out there to outsnap him
No.
throughout the entire season. Once they feel comfortable with Breece Hall, and we knew they were going to shut him down against Dallas once they got
It's
behind like
Dallas,
that.
yeah.
Right. Like, so like, I'm not worried about Breece Hall because they're going to have to just, when he finally is like, gets like the chains released and they just
20
give him a full
touches.
compliment,
20
he's going to be
touches.
getting 15 to 20 touches a game because Dalvin Cook sucks. I mean, if we're going to be just point blank about
He's
it,
terrible. He looks worse than I even thought he was going to look.
yeah,
He looks bad.
Dalvin cooked, man. He's just cooked for real. So like, that's what we're dealing with over there. I mean, but the offense as a whole is going to be bad, but he's going to get his opportunities is the point. Right.
Offense was bad. Offense was bad in week 1. Sometimes talent shines through. He was in this situation last year. This is they're probably better on offense this year than he was for his whatever 6 or 7 games he played in his rookie year, and he was great, right? He was awesome. It's not good. You drafted him because you wanted Rodgers, but it's not over, of course. And Dallas is going to make a lot of teams look bad this year with that defense.
Right. And I mean, Zach Wilson is not good. Like, let's not make any.
We talked about this last night, and I will hold a big fat L from I shouldn't have tweeted the Nick Chubb thing because people were gonna clutch the pearls after I hit submit, but I really am more happy that I didn't hit the submit on the button of, man, Zach Wilson looks kind of good in the first half of the Cowboys game, because I was very close to saying it, and the house of cards came tumbling down in the second half, rolled Zach Wilson.
But I think they're going to unleash Zach Wilson. You know what I mean? Like, they handcuffed him heavily against Dallas. And I don't think they're going to do that. They can't do that the entire season. They either have to replace him or let him do something.
Well, in the first half, he needs to. They just screwed it all up, right? And Breece said this in the post game presser that was like, came out, we got behind, and the script was okay, but right. Dallas defense scores. Dallas gets up a couple of scores. And then in the second half, now it's like, oh, you're down 3 scores. Here you go, Zach. Go try to win us the game against this defense. Breece is like, what happened? We forgot. Like, Breece never touched the ball in the second half. And it's like, that's probably not, you're not going to come back with Zach Wilson throwing 30 times in the second half or whatever. So,
because they're going to stack the box against them. Like, it's why wouldn't you just play 8 up front or 7 up front against the Jets? I mean, we're getting hand in the dirt on this stuff, but I would just be playing 7 up front, bracket Garrett Wilson, have Zach Wilson beat me anywhere
Alan
else.
Lazard, make Zach Wilson to Alan Lazard beat me. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good path to victory. So we're about
CNFL. I too can be a defensive coordinator. Just pay me $2 million.
Exactly. Can't be worse than some of these slapdicks we've seen for the first couple of weeks. I want to hit some of the comments in the chat. Right, and then for the last half hour, we'll kind of go game by game, super quick, give some of our expectations for, of course, the game, but kind of the teams too, the teams, the players, all that kind of stuff. Why Dad asked the question on everyone's mind: how much Chubb and Ford do you guys have? It's a good question. I have
so I know mine kind of right off the top of my head because I looked him up when he asked this question. I'm 7% Chubb on both DraftKings and Underdog, 9% on Drafters, I believe, and then 9% of Ford on Underdog, 15% on Drafters, and 10% on DraftKings, I think is what I have.
It's funny. I have a little less, Chubb on Underdog because I was drafting a little more later. 0 RB and not hammering as much Chubb super early, right, in May and June, even though I really liked him. I did take him some. Let's just say I'm overweight Nick Chubb on all platforms. But I'm overweight Jerome Ford the most on, like, he was one of my guys early, like super, like he's like, ironically enough, him and Pierre Strong are my 2 highest owned running backs in the big board. They also now still both play on the Browns, which is kind of weird, but he was my guy, and Chubb like slowly trickled down to once I discovered Puka and some of the, Kendrick Bourne and these late round wide receivers. I was like, I can sprinkle a little bit more Chubb in the second round. So yeah, overweight Chubb, but also overweight Ford. Except I don't have as much Ford on DraftKings for whatever reason. I don't actually think that was necessarily intentional, but just one of those things. Kind of overweight both of them because it was like Nick Chubb, if he stays healthy, is a smash to me, and if Nick Chubb goes down, Jerome Ford is a smash. So I was like, I'm just gonna draft both these guys.
So I looked at the big board after you said that, and I knew it was going to be higher on Chubb because that's when I was taking Chubb because you could get him like second, third round. I was 16% in the big board, but I'm 37% Jerome Ford in the big board. And I only have 38 teams in that, but I was hammering me some Jerome Ford and Nick Chubb in that tournament.
Yes, Jim, I was still venting, and yes, Carlos, people are lame, and yes, people are also cowards. Uncle Andy says what you said about ghosts and best ball gives me a thought. Maybe we can use a pseudoscience like reverse speech on coaches to figure out running back roles earlier in the preseason. I'll let Rob speak to pseudoscience and ghosts and all of that. But I just thought it was funny. Also, the name Uncle Andy got me for some reason. That was pretty funny.
We do kind of do that though, and not even just with coach speak, but we talked about this with like what teams do with personnel. Like just start there, then move to the coaches, and you can kind of figure some situations out. Not everyone. You can figure out the Dallas situation till late, but yeah, I mean, we do that sometimes.
Definitely. This is for sure true. This is the part of best ball you could spend. This is why, if you're in the Spike Week Discord or you watch our content, when people are overconfident about anything. And look, I take stands on players and all that, so you could call that a layer of overconfidence. I was probably overconfident in J.K. Dobbins, but it wasn't overconfidence in like, is he going to stay healthy? It was just his price I thought was bad. And look, this shit happens. Like, we talked about this last night. Maybe Breece Hall was the best pick all of last year. He just didn't stay healthy, right? Chubb was probably a good pick this year. Dobbins was probably a good pick this year. Deontay Johnson was probably a good pick this year. All these, Tim Patrick, who knows? He might have been a good pick this year. We don't get to see. And that's the part of best ball that sucks. Like, it really sucks, but also is like, you have to be willing to accept that and like move on to the next. It feels gross because we have to wait a year, to draft more teams, but that's like DFS, right? If you played whoever and they got hurt in a DFS slate, you're like, that sucks. I'm going to move on to next week. But we don't seem to treat best ball that way. We go back and we try to find the answers from last year. And it's like, well, the answer could have been Dobbins, but he just didn't he just didn't stay healthy. The answer last year could have been Breece, but he just didn't stay healthy. I'm not saying it was or it is Dobbins, but it's like, these are all the kind of nuances of best ball that I think suck, but also are important to keep in mind because we're going to forget them. Right? Week 16 is going to be here, and Rob and I will be doing content, and we'll be like, talking about all the games. We're going to forget about J.K. Dobbins, but we need to keep it in mind, like next year, to be like, it's not like fading J.K. Dobbins wasn't necessarily good or bad. It just was. It's important to keep that in mind.
Yeah. Some hot takes in the chat about the Browns not bringing anybody in, which they do. They can't go into the rest of the season with just two running backs. They need a third. Even if they don't play them, they need a third. I mean, like they got to bring somebody in.
They will.
So
yeah.
They have to.
I don't know if Demetric Felton's on a team. They were trying him out for during the preseason for like kind of the third down role, and he failed and they cut him. But Hunt or I guess he's maybe on the Bengals or Bengals practice squad. But anyway, there's just like kind of a math thing that you don't only carry two running backs, especially because not even because they want like the guy to play running back. I actually feel like they're pretty confident in Jerome Ford, kind of like Again, like you've said about a bunch of things, and like we talked about with the Rams, like Kyron never playing over the course of the preseason, Tutu never playing over the course of the preseason. Sean McVay and the Rams showed us their hand in what they feel about those guys. The Browns have showed us their hand in what they feel about Jerome Ford. And they said it again today. Jerome Ford's the feature back.
Yep.
We're confident in him. Are they going to bring somebody in? Yes, because teams don't go on game days with only 2 running backs. Like almost never. It's more frequently they have 4 than they have 2. So they're going to bring somebody in. Is it Hunt? Could be. Is it a vagabond veteran to come play special teams? Also possible, right? Like, why is Boston Scott a thing? Because the dude plays special teams. Why are a lot of running backs a thing? They play special teams. So, we'll see how we'll see how that plays out. I don't have any strong takes there yet, other than if you have Jerome Ford on best ball teams, you're in good shape.
You're happy that you have him on best ball teams. You're fading him on DFS this week because his ownership is going to be
Titans, baby. Every week, 3 weeks in a row, we're going to get the super cheap running back against the Titans. That's chalk. I swear to God, I'm going to profit once. Like, I got to profit one time. I played 0 Jamal Williams in week 1. Chalk dust. I played 0 Josh Kelly in week 2. Chalk dust. And I can't make any money. So we're going to try it again this week with fading our guy, Jerome Ford. But let's get into the games, shall we? Let's break down these games fairly quickly. Let me pull up our good friends.
There's a lot of big spreads this week.
It's a super interesting week, but I am excited for this week. I feel like this one's kind of quick and straightforward. The Thursday night game, Giants and 49ers. You see, obviously, like you mentioned, a big spread. 49ers -10. Feel pretty good about the 49ers. I think the Giants comeback against the Cardinals was more so Cardinals incompetence than Giants, exceeding. And I'm pretty worried about Daniel Jones against the 49ers defense with probably no Saquon. At best, a very, very, very limited Saquon. I can't imagine they rush him back into this game.
I can't imagine Saquon lets himself get rushed back in a contract year.
Yeah, contract year. Yeah.
He's going to want to stay healthy. And this is like some of the stuff we've talked about with some of these players. So I agree. It is going to be interesting to see who gets the majority of the work in the backfield there. That's interesting. But this is actually going to be the Elijah Mitchell game, I believe.
You're reading the tea leaves of he didn't play a snap last week. CMC played 100% of snaps, and they're like, Shanahan specifically said, well, that was a mistake. He literally came out and said, like, he basically threw the running back coach under the bus. I don't know who their running back coach is, but he said, yeah, that shouldn't happen. I need to make sure that doesn't happen, essentially. And so,
they're also going to be up relatively big, I think. And I think you're going to see a healthy dose of Elijah Mitchell.
Debo got crazy work last week. They don't want him to do that every single week. Ayuk got hurt, as is typical. Ayuk and Debo and Kittle and all these guys, they get banged up. I agree. I think assuming they can get out to a lead, I think we see it's going to be some Eli Mitchell, some Jordan Mason, some Jawan Jennings, some of that stuff. I think this is a pretty good spot for the 49ers to make sure they don't overextend their 4 superstars on offense. And to your point, I don't think Saquon plays, but if I'm in a season-long league, no thank you on the Matt Breida experience. I don't know how many times we have to do the Matt Breida thing before. Matt Breida is fetch. Let's stop trying to make fetch happen. Let's stop trying to make Matt Breida happen. It's not a thing. If you really want to take a shot, grab Eric Gray and pray that Saquon sits out another week or 2 and Matt Breida is Matt Breida and Eric Gray can get the job. But I don't have a lot of interest there. Even showdown, we'll see on Thursday, but nothing special. Maybe the game of the week. Next one up here. The Los Angeles Chargers 0-2 head to Minnesota to face the 0-2 Minnesota Vikings. And neither of these teams have played a lick of defense in 2 weeks. The Chargers are dead last in defense DVOA by an EPA per play by a big margin. I think it was oh my god, I forget what his name is. I'm totally blanking. I apologize, but posted on Twitter that the difference between the Chargers defense EPA per play from them to the 31st overall defense EPA per play is wider than the difference from 31 to 22, which is like, I know they played the Dolphins, but they also played the Titans in week 2.
Yeah.
That's not very good. And Jefferson and Addison and Hawkinson and Cousins are coming to town. This game is probably the game of the week for fantasy, and it is wheels up, I think, for everybody involved here. And as Donnie says, if Austin Eckler, who we don't have great news so far, is out again, go right back to Josh Kelly, because this is the spot for him to smash.
Yeah, but you know who else it's the spot to smash for? You're gonna hate hearing this.
Oh no.
But it's gonna be his best week of the season, probably, is Madison, for multiple reasons. He's probably gonna smash against the Chargers. People aren't gonna be on him because nobody likes Alexander Madison anymore. So you're gonna get him at reduced cost, reduced ownership against the Chargers, who can't stop the run. And this is gonna be, look, I have Madison bags because I thought he was like fine where he was going. That's one that I'll probably just take the L on. I didn't go overweight. I wasn't going crazy drafting Madison, but if he was there, I would take him sometimes. So that was probably wrong. But this is the week where he's been getting, this is just, we're in a matrix. This is what happens over and over and over again every year. You start shitting on somebody so much, he gets the smash spot. People don't want to play him because he's been getting shit on so much. Madison's going to get probably like 80 yards, 2 touchdowns or something like that this week. And he's just going to be the smash. And at the end of the week, it's going to be like, well, we know we don't like Madison, but we knew the spot was good. We probably should have just taken him. Right.
Yep. I agree. Totally agree. No notes. Totally agree. In your season long league, start everybody in this game. Don't think twice about it. And I like bounce back spots for Madison, for Josh Kelly, for is there such a thing as this for Justin Jefferson, because he just posts 150 yards every week or whatever, but maybe he'll actually get in the end zone for once this week instead of Hawkinson and Addison, whatever. But I agree with you on Madison. I'm not very hopeful for him moving forward. Like, he just doesn't have the juice, right? He looks like kind of like in the Zeke Najee boat of skill as a runner, which is really, really bad. But I do have him on my high roller team on Drafters, and I'm sitting in 5th. Our good friend Hacker, the wizard behind all the Spike Week tools, is in 4th, right in front of me by less than 0.2 points. He has 324.66 points. I have 324.48 points. And I have Alexander Madison on that team. It's a pretty good team, except my running backs are so bad. It's so bad. Horrible. So I'm going to be a Madison fan this week for the next little while until, Ty Chandler or something.
5,800 on DK this week.
It's pretty good. That's pretty good. He was chalk higher. He was chalk in week 1 higher than that. So yeah. And I don't think he will be. And I don't think Josh Kelly will be as popular. I love this game, but the running backs look really, we like DeAndre Swift. He's better than Josh Kelly, but my God, man, DeAndre Swift was like closing in on 200 yards against this team. Josh Kelly and the Chargers could probably run for a lot of yards. Next one, a little bit less fun.
The reverse.
The literal opposite, a 39.5 total. Titans travel to the Browns. Of course, no Nick Chubb, and the Titans offense bounced back a little bit last week, but nothing super crazy. One long play to Treylon Burks. Derrick Henry was inefficient, but had big volume. I think the big thing for me in this one is I think the Browns passing offense theoretically is in a good spot, but I don't have any confidence in them watching Deshaun Watson for 2 weeks. I think he looks horrible. And the Titans are whatever. The Browns defense is really good, so it's a really bad matchup. But I will say, in terms of Derrick Henry, I would feel pretty skittish on my Derrick Henry shares moving forward because Tyjae is playing a lot. This is not just like, oh yeah, Derrick Henry doesn't play third downs, or oh yeah, we're gonna spell Derrick Henry when he's tired. No, this is like 60-40. Like it's a real. They are focusing on getting Tyjae Spears in the game and getting him the football. So like early downs, everything. So worried about the Browns, worried about Derrick Henry and the Titans in general, honestly.
But this feels like a bad line, doesn't it? Like, this feels like one of those easy lines to just take the Titans, like, straight up, because
Oh,
they win
interesting.
this game. They probably win this game close to half the time.
I'm worried about the Browns defense is still good, I think, and
It is still good.
I am worried about Tannehill and the Titans. So I haven't gone through the lines. Some of these will be the first time I've even noticed them. So I don't have a strong take. I will probably later in the week have a strong take on this one. But I
It's
still
probably
believe in
right.
I still believe in the Browns defense at home. But the problem for them in this one, the Browns, Deshaun's got to win this one.
Yeah.
And he wasn't able to do it against the Steelers. Is he going to be able to do it against the Titans? I don't know.
Yeah, he looks cooked as well. He looks pretty bad. It's crazy.
He looks so bad. So anyway, sadly, a game I can't believe I'm more excited for, but I am. Pretty good bounce back spot, I feel like, for the Jaguars offense here at home against the Houston Texans, who got throttled by the Colts last week, which I found a little bit surprising. Texans are 0-2. Jaguars are 1-1 after losing to the Chiefs. The Jaguars offense came back to earth last week. But I do think it's possible we've really underrated the Chiefs defense. Through 2 weeks, the Chiefs defense has been really good. And I think it's possible that they locked up Calvin Ridley. They like Christian Kirk got there on massive volume, but Zay fucking bageled. 0 catches on 7 targets, something like that. And Calvin Ridley was really bad. Travis Etienne could get nowhere on the ground. I think the Chiefs defense is just going to be really good. And while I'm a little bit higher, probably still, I need to hold this L here pretty soon. But on the Texans defense, I think it's a real good bounce back spot for the Jaguars.
And I think I think that just for development reasons, they need to have Lawrence have a big game. So I wouldn't be shocked, like, if they're able to open it up a little bit, they just let Lawrence pour it on for a little bit, because everyone's going to think that this is the ETN game, which it definitely could be.
Mm-hmm.
No argument here if it is. But I think that if they're getting open, if they actually can, I think just for confidence levels, they need to get that offense in gear and just like Lawrence is in need of like a 4 touchdown game in order to I don't know. It's just like it's a developing offense, and you know that sometimes you just got to let the guys go out there and cook. And I think they might just let them go out there and cook.
100%. I couldn't agree more. It's a really great, actually, like probably underrated point that most people won't mention is like they're still getting up to speed with Calvin Ridley, right, in this offense now. And what better spot than the team that just gave up 1 billion points to Anthony Richardson / Gardner Minshew, and Zach Moss. Zach Moss is cooking these guys up. So I like the Jags here. I don't know about -9.5, but we'll see about the Texans off. We'll see about the Texans offensive line. That's the big question here. I know Donnie says Stroud down all game, 50 attempts to cheap receivers. Yeah. If they keep falling behind like they did last week, I totally agree. Nico, Tank Dell, those guys are going to have really good seasons. Honestly, it's going to be really bad for Dameon Pierce. It'll be fine for CJ Stroud and good for Nico and Tank Dell, especially without Noah Brown. But I don't want to be counting on that. Like if your thesis is this guy's going to be really good because you're going to be down by 3 touchdowns in the first half every week, that's like not a good. That's also not a good thing. You need some form of efficiency in neutral game scripts too. And so that's my concern with the Texans. And the Jaguars defenses look good. They shut down the Chiefs mostly last week, which is a tough task to pull off. So this isn't the Colts. Let's just say that. This is not the Colts defense that they're facing with Jacksonville.
Yeah, but this Lawrence double stack, so like a Lawrence, Calvin Ridley, Evan Ingram with a Nico Collins bring back, sounds like a lot of fun this week.
You can bring it. You could just say, let's shoot this game out. Mm-hmm. Bring Tank along with, like you said, Ridley or Kirk or Zay or Ingram or whatever your preference is, and just say, yeah, the Jags are going to smash. And I'm going to get another 50 attempts from Stroud. I don't really care how many points the Texans score if they're going to throw it 50 times because the wide receivers are cheap and they're going to put up yards.
5,300 for Nico Collins, who's also getting downfield targets the entire game too.
He's been awesome. He's been awesome. He's one of the best right now. He's one of the best picks in fantasy, I think.
I'm very happy. I have him on my $1,000 team.
Yeah. I imagine you are. All right, next one. We keep ping ponging between the fun games. Like the
Yeah.
Jaguars game was fun to talk about. I got nothing for this one. Patriots Jets.
Nope.
I'm not gonna watch it. If YouTube TV puts it on a quad box, we're moving to a different quad box because I'm not fucking putting this game on my TV. I'd rather gouge my eyes out. I don't know. I don't have a lot. It can't get worse for Brees. Really bad matchup. I would not lay 2.5 points on the Patriots on the road against this Jets defense. 37 total. I don't know. I don't have a lot of hope for this one, but I am, as you mentioned, yeah, there you go. Yeah, Hunter Henry is going to score double-digit fantasy points again because that's what he does every single week. But not a lot to love here. I don't really think. I don't think this is the week that you're like, yep, it's wheels up Brees. I think we got to wait probably another week for that one.
Yeah, I think we don't really pay attention to this game at all.
Let's just move on. That made me sad. That made me really sad. This is not that much better, but Saints Packers is at least a little bit interesting. Jordan Love throwing 1 million touchdowns through 2 weeks. We'll see what we get with Christian Watson and Aaron Jones, but the Saints defense has been really good. And the Saints offense has been not so good.
Not very good.
And it looks like Jamal Williams is going to miss. I don't know what the Saints are going to do. Taysom, they put a lot of Taysom out there last night, and Tony Jones Jr. Had a spike week, if you will. Alvin Kamara's not back yet. We'll see if Kendra comes back. This would be your praying to God that Kendra comes back, and this is his one good game of the year before Kamara comes back. But I don't have a lot of super strong thoughts here. Jaden Reed had a bunch of targets last week, which I thought was a promising sign for him. He looks good at his cost. Chris Olave is just very good at the game.
Yeah.
But I think a decent bounce back spot for the Saints, despite the fact that it's on the road at Green Bay. And the Saints defense has been real salty so far. So maybe a little bit of a regression from Jordan Love.
I hate to say it, but probably more Michael Thomas. Get those little short Michael Thomas routes.
But they're throwing, he's getting targets.
Yeah, so you might see a lot of those this week, which sucks, but it is what it is. So that's probably the way you want to play it, is through the air with Olave or Michael Thomas. And if you really want to take the home run shot at Shaheed.
Yep, I totally agree. All right, Broncos Dolphins, a little bit more fun. Nothing super crazy, but you highlighted the Broncos. I wonder if we have differing takes on them, but I'll start with the Dolphins because I mean, maybe the most we'll see about Jalen Waddle is in concussion protocol, took a pretty gnarly hit to the back of the head on Sunday night. Seemed to be okay, but it's always tough to tell. Trying to predict the concussion protocol is like trying to predict who Mike McCarthy's going to give the ball to at the goal line. Peyton Hendershot end around instead of giving it to Tony Pollard. But I mean, I feel really confident that like we know what we're getting with the Dolphins offense. And this is one of the few very, very trustworthy elite offenses in the NFL. The Broncos defense has been nothing special at all. They were kind of nuked by Jimmy G and the Raiders in week 1, which is a bad sign. And then my guy, Sammy Howell, threw for 300 on them. Brian Robinson destroyed them. Feel pretty good about the Dolphins. And I think that some of the production in the box score from Russ is a little bit fraudulent. But I do think the Dolphins defense is not very good. So we're going to get some pushback here. I think this is a pretty fun game.
And I think that's the whole thing. It's, you look at these 2 weeks, he had like an average game week 1, he had 15.2 points, but literally almost everybody did. So like in the entire NFL. And yeah, he did throw that Hail Mary, but he still had 30.9 DK points last week. So even taking away that Hail Mary, he's looking around 24-ish.
24. Yep.
23, 24. So, and again, if the Dolphins make them push it, I think that they can scheme Russ up to get another 2-3 touchdown game. I think this is going to be kind of like the sneaky, we're going to want to play, obviously, the Vikings and the Chargers game, but like, this is kind of a game, if you have pieces from this game in best ball, or if you're looking for DFS, this game might go under the radar a little too much, especially with the Waddle injury, people being scared. And I think the way that I would want to probably play it, and the way I want it for my best ball teams too, because I have a lot more Russ than I do Tua, and I have a decent amount of Tyreek Hill, is I'd want to run out some sort of Russ doubles with Tyreek coming back or something like that. And I just think that people are going to overlook it. I mean, as much as they can in terms of that. So I think you're going to see a lot of gravitation towards that other game. And this is kind of a game that I want Russ to prove that he can keep pace with a high profile offense.
I totally agree. I think this game is really not that far off the other one. Actually trust the Dolphins the most out of all 4 of these teams between Chargers, Vikings, Broncos, and Dolphins, even if Jalen Waddle's not there. And I currently, we're guessing he'll play, but we'll see about that. And the Broncos, we saw last week. Now, the box score production wasn't there, but Cortland Sutton played 89% of the snaps. Jerry Jeudy played 68% of the snaps. After that, it was real chopped up between Brandon Johnson and Lil Jordan Humphrey and Marvin Mims and stuff, which is gross there. But you know what you're getting from Sutton and Jeudy as bringbacks here. You also know what you're getting, I think, from Javonte Williams and Samaje Perine, which is unfortunately a 50-50 split between those 2 guys and a couple of snaps for Jaleel McLaughlin, who played 3 snaps and, of course, stole a goal line touchdown, which is like kind of hilarious. But feel good. I would feel good about all pieces in this game, and I think better things are coming for Jerry Jeudy in particular. A little bit eased in his first game back, pretty stunned. He was back actually in week 2, given what we knew about that hammy. So a fun game, maybe the second most fun game so far. Anything else? Yeah.
And just the other thing is, I want to see what they do with A-Chain in this game, right? Because
Ahmed's hurt. Yeah,
Ahmed's hurt. Like, dude, it's now or never for A-Chain. It feels like if he's going to do anything this season, he needs to do it this week, or at least have some snaps out there. So I'm interested to see what they do with A-Chain.
Yeah, funny. Donnie asked that literally as you're saying it. When does A-Chain get unleashed? I don't know about unleashed this week because Mostert is still going to be the guy, even if Ahmed misses. But this is your week. He needs to do something because Jeff Wilson will be back. Ahmed will be back. He needs to earn that role, right? It's kind of like the Kendre Miller thing, which has obviously failed spectacularly. The whole point was, okay, we can still buy the dip on him because Kamara is going to miss the first 3 games, but he needs to get out there in those first 3 weeks and earn a role, right? Like, you don't need to have this much production, but do what DeAndre Swift did last week. When Kenny Gainwell's out, you go out, you ball the fuck out, and the coach can't bench you. That's what you need from Devin A-Chain at some point this week or next week or very, very soon. Because guess what? Mostert is doing his thing, and they trust Jeff Wilson, and Ahmed was already in front of them. So it's a tight window here. Tight thread to needle. Needle to thread to needle. What's
thread to needle?
Thread to needle. Whatever.
Thread the needle. The thread goes through the needle. The eye of the needle.
We're
don't you sew, bro?
I believe it or not big into sewing around these parts. So not my best. I should stick to the analogies and the metaphors that are not in the sewing realm moving forward. Falcons Lions actually is.
Are we skipping Washington? Are you going to just scroll right by Washington Buffalo?
We can't skip Washington Buffalo because Sammy Football is the man. I want everybody to know it.
Upset him this week.
We're gonna get the Washington upset. I don't know about that, but I don't think that I don't think we should be right back on the Bills bandwagon after the game against Vegas. I think Vegas just stinks, especially without Jacoby Myers. I don't know if you watched that game at all. Josh Jacobs, this dude is
negative 2 yards,
-2 rushing yards against the Bills. Breece Hall averaged like 15 yards a carry against the Bills. Even Dalvin wasn't horrible against the Bills. And Josh Jacobs had -2 yards. He looked so bad, man. But I think the Commanders, they definitely have a fighting shot. They definitely have a fighting shot to cover a touchdown spread. I don't think the Bills really proved a lot to me last week. I do think the Commanders offense proved a little bit more to me. I was You know me, I got big bags on Washington, literally every Commanders player.
I actually
And
do
after
too.
week 1, I was pretty worried. And I thought last week was a really, really positive sign. Howell played well. They got down and battled back and just dominated the game after basically the first quarter. B-Rob looked really good, of course, but I thought Howell played well. McLaurin played well. Logan Thomas died, but it was all that's really good. But I'm very interested to watch this game for sure.
Dude, we want to talk about victory laps. I have 20% Brian Robinson in Best Ball Mania, and across all sites, I have a lot of Brian Robinson, but I have a lot of Commanders in general as Howell stacks or as one-offs. Just in general, like I generally, because I liked McLaurin a lot this year. I did like Dotson. He got priced up, so my percentage went down a little bit on him. But yeah, I'm big on Washington. I mean, I joked about the upset, but it wouldn't, of the bigger spread games, that's the one that wouldn't shock me, is if the Commanders come out and actually beat Buffalo this week. It wouldn't be a shocking thing to me at all. So I'm interested to watch this game for multiple reasons. I think it's going to be a fun game.
I agree. Washington's good.
Yeah.
They're their problem is they're in a division with the Eagles and the Cowboys, so they're competing for a wild card spot because they're not as good as those teams, but they're going to give some teams some fits for sure. The throw from Howell to McLaurin, the touchdown play from Howell to McLaurin was a thing of beauty. That's what you're hoping for when you drafted either of those two guys or both of them together. Another fun game. A bunch of fun games.
Just real quick, they're just there's the team every year that they just don't want to see them. You don't want to play that team. I think Washington's going to be that team this year where it's like, yeah, they might have a middling record, but nobody's going to want to see them.
100%. Another team, perfect segue, that I believe is in that ballpark. Not our Lions. It is the Atlanta Falcons. You don't want to play the Atlanta Falcons this year, I don't think. You definitely don't want to play them right now when they're at full strength. It's gross, and we as fantasy and best ball bros, look, I love to tilt about Kyle Pitts as much as the next person. I love to tilt about Bijan ceding carries to Tyler Algier, Drake London only getting one target in week 1. It's fun, right? We get it. The complaining. That's what do we draft all these teams for if we're not going to complain about Drake London getting goosed in week 1? But they're good. The Falcons are good. They're not a Super Bowl team, but in the NFC and particularly in their division, they are good. Their defense has gotten way better, and Desmond Ridder, I think, might be just good enough. He's not good, but he might be just good enough to win enough games with those weapons and Arthur Smith. Bijan looks like maybe the most talented running back we've ever seen of all time. And I know Pitts didn't put up the big box score.
The most talented we've seen since probably Adrian Peterson is what I would say.
Barry Sanders, AP
Payton, Walter Payton. You got to
Walter
throw in
Payton, LT, Marshall Faulk.
But like our lifetime. Yeah.
But I mean,
Tomlinson's a good one. Yeah.
You can't tackle that dude. He's he moves his human like that. Humans don't move the way Bijan Robinson moves. And he is very, very different. I like them here. 3-point dogs on the road at the Lions, and this game is pretty fun. I think the Falcons are going to try to take the air out of the football as they usually do, but I did find it interesting. They ran the ball a ton in the second half last week, but they came out. Kyle Pitts had 3 end zone targets. They came out on back-to-back plays and tried to get him a touchdown. He drew a PI in the end zone. They tried to throw it to him again. Drake London obviously had 6 for 70 and a touchdown. Ridder had a good game. Bijan had a good game. Pitts hasn't gotten there yet, but it actually, the usage was pretty encouraging in week 2. Look, it's not going to be fun. If you drafted Pitts in a managed league, you're going to hate your life every single week. Like, am I starting him or Luke Musgrave? It's going to suck. Yeah. It's really going to suck. But in best ball, good games will happen. He's going to have some good games. The usage is semi encouraging. It's not great, but would you rather have him or Dallas Goedert? Yeah, his usage has been bad too.
Yeah, that Goddard usage has been terrible. You know what's interesting about this particular game, just like speaking from DFS purposes, So I told you how I was on Bijan last week, and I was getting him at like 3 and 4% ownership in tournaments. And I think that he kind of still got hidden in terms of production based on a lot of other guys going off. So I think he's going to be more owned this week, but I still think it's going to be reduced.
Yep.
I don't think it's going to be like heavily owned. And I think people might overcompensate to Jahmyr Gibbs, as Hamlet says in the chat. Josh Reynolds is a sneaky play this week. I think people are going to be wish casting the Jahmyr Gibbs um, 80 to 90% usage game, which is, I just don't think it's going to happen. That doesn't mean that he's not going to go off. Doesn't mean that he doesn't have a big game based
Yeah,
on
he's
what he
good at
does.
football. Right.
Yeah, he's good at football. He can still do stuff, but I don't think we're going to get the usage that some people think he's going to get. And the way to play this game might be to play Bijan. This is, first look stuff, but getting Bijan again might be the way to go. And this might be another one where the line's actually probably fine on this, but if you're looking to bet like money lines and maybe like try to hit on some sort of big parlays, like Falcons Titans feels like a fun like parlay to put a little bit of money on this week.
Yep, I totally agree. I'm a little lighter on the Falcons, but I'm a little lighter on the Titans. I'm team Falcons. I just believe, man. I believe the last year Marcus Mariota was so. It is hard to quantify how bad Marcus Mariota was, and they could have made the playoffs last year. They had the Rams beat, they had the Saints beat, they had the 49ers beat, dude. They had all these teams beat. And Mariota just couldn't get them over the hump. I know Ritter is not great, but he's better than Marcus Mariota, and he's already proven that in 2 games. And Bijan, and now we've added Bijan. I also think Mac Hollins is not a zero, and like he's better than what Zacchaeus and those guys they were playing as the third wide receiver before. Like Jonnu is better than Hayden Hurst. They're good. Like we have to separate the fantasy element, which is really frustrating. Trust me. I drafted a lot of these guys from this team's good and they're going to win a lot of games. And I think they're going to win a lot of games. And I think they might win on Sunday.
And I think the other important thing to go along with the Ritter thing real quick is we were worried about Ritter and Howell staying on the field for their respective teams. It's really hard to ever pull them off the field now. Not saying they're going to 100% not get. I'm not saying there's a 100% chance they stay the starter for the entire season, but that percentage is a lot higher than it was in the offseason. It's going to take a lot. They're both 2-0. They can't pull them unless they're like really, really bad now, is Correct. What I would say. So
that was my thesis on Marcus Mariota last year was like, I think the Falcons might be kind of good. And if he wins enough, even if he's not playing quarterback particularly well, they can't pull him. He was so bad. He was so bad that they eventually pulled him. But I think this team is much better, and Ritter is better than Mariota. I don't think Ritter is good, but I think he's better than Mariota, and the team is better. So they're going to win a lot of games, and you just don't pull, right? Like, why does Jimmy Garoppolo always have a job? Because you don't pull a team that when he's the starting quarterback of a 12-2 49ers team, right. Same thing. Brock Purdy was flat out awful on Sunday, but guess what? They won. It doesn't matter. Brock Purdy's never going to lose his job type of a situation. Next one, Colts Ravens, another fun game. I'm pretty excited for this one. We'll see what happens with AR. He's obviously in the concussion protocol, smoked the back of his head on the ground on that second touchdown run, but 2 touchdown runs like immediately on Sunday. He was about to be you want to talk about the guy you need. AR was about to be the guy you needed on Sunday in DFS, in weekly winners and all that kind of stuff. But of course, left the game. Gardner Minshew came in and played well for the Colts, but I think this is I think the Colts have shown more promise than we hoped. Obviously, winning a game is probably more promise than we thought we would see. But this, to me, is the Lamar, Andrews, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, whatever. This is the spot for the Ravens to put up a big week.
This is that Jaguar situation we were talking about earlier, where it's just going to be all systems go for this Ravens offense, I think, this week as well. So I think you're going to see them hang a pretty lofty number on the Colts this week. And I just don't think the Colts are going to be able to hang, to be perfectly honest.
No matter who's at quarterback, right? No matter
who's at quarterback. But shout out to Anthony Richardson for self-reporting the concussion. Like at least players are getting behind that and making sure that, like, dude, they don't want these head injuries. So kudos to him for that is what I will say. But yeah, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. This team, I think, is going to get smoked this week. I just think they are going to get absolutely smoked.
If we can get 7 on this number, 7.5, obviously crossing over a key number for my sports bettors out there. It's not as much fun. And you would know that if you bet the 49ers like I did last weekend. And Sean McVay kicks a fucking field goal to lose by 7 on the final drive. That was a lot of fun. I was live on the radio while that was happening. As they're kicking the field goal, shout out Chris Prince, Beer Makers fan, kicks it over to me, like asking me to like talk about the Rams. And I'm like, Beer, I'm going to be honest with you. I bet the 49ers, and Sean McVay is shoving it right, right, where the sun don't shine right now. It's hard for me to talk highly about, Kyron and Puka again. But yeah, wheels up for the Ravens, I think, here. And yeah, like you said, shout out Anthony Richardson, like all around, man. Like all the hate he got, for his inaccurate passing. He seems just like a good kid. He seems like I'm rooting for him. Let's just say that. I'm not, like we talked about earlier, like I'm not rooting for Deshaun Watson. I'm rooting for Anthony Richardson. I think it's nice to see a kid like that come in and have success right away in a not a great situation. So, I mean, Jonathan Taylor is like, and the owner are beefing, and it's not great, and he's still performing very well. I would be happy about, speaking, moving to best ball really quickly. I'd feel good about if I had, shout out Chris Spags. He's got as big of Anthony Richardson bags as anyone. And I would feel good about those for sure. Panthers, Seahawks. I'm just going to kick it right over to you. I had to turn off the Panthers game because that Panthers Saints was so bad last night, but they look as putrid as we expected on offense.
Yes. Defensively, they might be a little bit better than we thought. This is probably just a Kenneth Walker game for me. I don't think we're going to learn. I mean, this could be the JSN carve them up middle of the field game type of deal, but
please God,
I think this is going to be more of just like, let's just ride Kenneth Walker to a win against the Panthers at home and get to our next game is kind of the way I think that the Seahawks are going to go here. And the Panthers, we're just going to watch Adam Thielen freaking targets all game and want to vomit for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I don't have a lot on this. One. I just think the Panthers are real bad, and Seahawks can kind of do what I'm not saying the Panthers can't win this game, because the Seahawks showed us in week 1 they're certainly not immune to laying a total egg. And the Panthers do have a good pass rush, but no JC Horn. Shaq Thompson got hurt last night. Like, it's just not looking good for Carolina given their lack of offensive prowess. Another one where it's not looking good for a particular team here is old Arizona, who got out obviously to a really impressive and hot start, and we were all burying the Giants in the first half of that game last week, and the Giants come marching back in the second half from a monster Daniel Jones performance and come back to win and beat the Cardinals. They go to 0-2, and the Cowboys have another just dominant game against a putrid Jets offense. It should be kind of more of the same here, right? Tony Pollard's going to probably do his thing. CeeDee Lamb had 13 targets or something last week. Just an absurd target share. Cowboys just kind of wash, rinse, repeat when they're playing these bad teams. The defense is going to dominate, and you're going to get Pollard and CeeDee and a little sprinkle of everybody else.
Yeah, there's nothing to add to that. It's going to be a bloodbath, I think, in that particular game.
All right, let's move on to the next one. Bears, Chiefs. I'm going to kick this one. You're the Chiefs guy. This is
finally we're gonna get the 4 Patrick Mahomes touchdown game this week. 4 to 5 touchdowns. The Bears are just really bad. They're all around bad. Their defense is bad. Their offense is bad. Their offensive play calling is atrocious. Did you know that they've only done 4 designed runs for Justin Fields?
It's fucking unbelievable. He averaged 6 per game last year, and he has 4 in 2 games. That is...
Well, I guess when you can't block for him and he's going to have to scramble anyways, like, you don't have to call the designed run because he's just going to scramble. So you just call a pass play.
Luke Getsy is just
an RPO.
He's just assuming. Yeah, he's like, he's in the headset. I don't know why I'm doing a phone because obviously it doesn't work like a phone, but he's in the headset like, Justin, I'm calling a pass, but just go ahead and run, buddy, because it's not going to be good. We have the worst offensive line, and our wide receivers besides DJ Moore don't get open. So just run.
Yeah. So, I mean, I do like having a Mahomes stack here. I do like DJ Moore in this game just because they're going to be throwing a ton. But this might actually be an okay Fields game because Fields is going to have to run this game for sure. He's going to have to run. So you might get the way to flip like an afternoon only slate would probably, because I think Mahomes is going to get heavy ownership.
Yeah.
It might be to play like Fields in an afternoon only slate and hopefully print money based on getting 100 yards or something like that.
I think you can stack this game up. I also think you can play the Chiefs defense and like kind of fade it or play.
I think you can play Fields and the Chiefs defense.
100%. He's going to get sacks. We know that's going to happen. Yeah. It's just, is the Chiefs defense going to score a touchdown? So, great game. I'm really interested to talk about this game next week on Monday.
Yeah.
And be like, okay, what did we see about the Chiefs? Because it obviously hasn't been awesome. Week 1 was mostly some drops issues. Shout out Kadarius Toney, who had a much better game in week 2, as did Sky Moore. So if you press the panic meter, the panic button on those two guys in week 1, Toney didn't completely bounce back. He didn't score a touchdown, but you want to talk about, again, like targets per route run for Kadarius Toney. When he's on the field, they're getting him the football. He is if it ever grows, if the role ever grows for Kadarius Toney, I think it's possible they just want him to be this, like 15 route per game kind of guy. But if it ever does grow, man, he is going to be good. And Sky was good, and Andy Reid was praising Sky for his play in this game. And so I would just feel positive about the Chiefs heading into Sunday and positive about them in this game. Two teams I'm not feeling positive for in the Sunday night game. Steelers Raiders,
what a shit Sunday night game.
Can we stop with it? What are we doing here with this, with these games? Like, there's a lot of good games this week. There's a lot of good games every week. Why are we doing Steelers Raiders in prime time? But the Steelers, defense obviously came through against Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns. Najee Harris was as bad as ever, and Jaylen Warren continued to take over more of that. George Pickens had the long touchdown, but that was it for the Steelers passing game. The Steelers passing game was putrid. My guy Calvin Austin was horrible. Freiermuth was horrible. A-Rob was horrible. And the Raiders were worse somehow. They went down and scored on the first drive, and Devontae is still as good as ever, but Jimmy sucks. Jacobs looks like he's running in quicksand. And if Jacoby Myers is not back, which I'm not sure he will because his concussion was real bad. This game is just disastrous. And I will bet the under, honestly, right now.
Yeah, I would do the same. I do want to see Jaylen Warren's usage in this game because it sounded like Tomlin's coming around to flipping that a little bit. I don't think it's going to be like a full flip right away, but we're starting to hear the rumblings from the coaching staff that they need to get Jaylen Warren the ball more. So that's going to be good. This game coming up is the fun one, right? This Eagles-Bucks game.
Well, you go for it. What do you think? Because I know you drafted a bunch of Eagles. I'm excited about the Eagles. They looked really good last week. Shout out Rashad Penny for calling back the A.J. Brown touchdown that, would have made them have a really monster game, and I would have won. Just a couple same game parlays that would have hit for monster money. But anyway, Rashad Penny. People are dancing on Rashad Penny's grave. I'm in the grave. I'm still somehow dancing on his grave because I'm mad at him. It's all really bad.
A lot of graves.
So many graves, and just really Rashad Penny sucks is the long story, or the long story short. But the Bucks have been awesome through 2 weeks. Matchup gets a lot tougher here, though, at home against the Eagles. But how are you feeling about this one? Because I think it's a pretty interesting game.
Yeah, but they're still playing a banged up Eagles defense, right? So there's still some opportunity there. I mean, I think the Eagles obviously win this game, but I think the Bucks are, I don't want to say like they're legit in the sense that they're going to be like a Super Bowl contender, but they're legit in the sense that the offense is going to be fine. So I think Evans is probably, I thought he was the clear guy to take out of these two receivers the entire offseason. He just kind of lends himself more to Baker Mayfield's skill set and what he can
prayer
do.
Yards, baby.
yeah, exactly. So I was taking Evans slightly above average a bit. I did like Mike Evans. I took him probably more on like drafters late when I thought people were just overlooking him, and also contract year, right? Like, and he's not negotiating with them, so this is audition time, baby. Like, this is what's going on here for him. Rashad White looked good last week. I don't know if he'll look good again this week. I'm not saying I'd play Baker Mayfield, but you know what? 2-game slate on a Monday night. Everyone's going to play Jalen Hurts. You want to make some money, baby. You take the guy that's trailing the Eagles, and maybe Baker Mayfield's how you ship a 2-game slate on a Monday night only one.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough to get away from the Hurts doubles in this one.
It's going to be super tough to get away from the Hurts doubles.
I like the Evans bring back, or even like moving over to Godwin. People are gonna chase the Evans box scores, or Kate Otten or something. I'm not playing Rashad White against the Eagles. I'll tell you that.
Talk to Squirrel Patrol, see what he's doing.
Yeah, I just think that. Yeah, we gotta text the guy who wins all the money and to say who the hell are we supposed to play, because that's a lot easier than us trying to figure it out on our own. But I am interested to see. I'm very hesitant on the Bucs because week 1 was the Vikings, whose defense looks absolutely horrible. And then week 2 was the Bears, who look like they have the worst defense in the NFL. And it's like, okay, the Eagles defense, I think, is taking quite a big step back actually this year, but it's still fine. So if Baker and this team can really compete here and score some points, I think I'll be a little bit more hopeful, but I'm kind of withholding judgment on, Evans, Godwin, Rashad White, at Baker for sure, until we see a little bit better competition. So I'm actually pretty interested in this one, much more interested in this one than fucking Raiders, the Steelers on Sunday night. The other Monday night game, we got another doubleheader on Monday night that could have been really fun, but it looks like it's not going to be all that fun because Joe Burrow re-injured his calf this past week, and we don't have any confirmation. No big beat reporters or no one has really reported anything specific, but there's rumors and rumblings that he might actually even go on IR or miss 2 to 3 to 4 weeks. Joe Burrow to go get his calf right. They are 0-2, which I think is part of the reason why we haven't gotten news. They're probably having some sleepless nights, being like, if we put Burrow on IR, our season might be over. Because they're going to lose a lot of games and their division is very tough. The Rams on the flip side are like the stone opposite, like just outperforming it. This game is awesome because the Rams are maybe them and the Bucs outperforming expectations more than any team in the entire NFL. And the Bengals are underperforming expectations more than any team in the NFL. Who wins this game? Are you still feeling good? You're probably feeling good about getting luck boxing underweight Jamar Chase. This asshole complained for 4 months about not getting Jamar Chase on any of his teams, and it's the best thing that ever happened to him. What do you think about this one?
That's just what we do, right? We have to complain about it, and then it comes out to look good. I mean, I still like Jamar. I saw people dancing on Jamar Chase's grave earlier today.
I would not do that. I would not do that.
I'm like, that seems very premature after 2 games in the season. And he could even have a down year and he could come back next year and just make everybody look stupid. Like, he's young, guys. Like, let's relax. I don't know what I'm going to do with this game yet, to be honest with you. We have to see what the quarterback situation shakes out to be. It's not ideal in terms of the Bengals side. The Kyron Williams stuff is a lot of fun. I'm pretty, again, dude, super happy I have Kyron Williams on a lot of teams. Again, happy I have him on my Mastiff team, the $1,000 Mastiff. We kind of luck boxed some of these late round guys on that team, but that's what we do for these best ball tournaments. I think maybe every couple of weeks we'll pull that team up, and since it's a big buy-in. But yeah, this one's going to be interesting. Puka's usage is absurd. I want to see if that continues into this game. Really want to see what it does when Cooper Kupp comes back. That's the crux for me, because you can't take him off the field, but he's not going to do what he's doing now in terms of usage. He might still crush for sure, but we've gotten our return on Kyron and Puka already, and Tutu. How nuts
it's
is
a
that?
win. It's a fucking win.
It's already a win.
We're talking about week 3, and we've already got a win on all 3 of those Rams guys. It really is absolutely crazy. Obviously, like you said, Puka's usage is not going to continue when Kupp comes back, but my God, the offense is good without Cooper Kupp. You put an elite wide receiver into that offense instead of dust ass Van Jefferson. And I don't know, man, they're just going to score a lot of points. So like Puka might score, he might actually score a touchdown. Now, like he's doing all this without scoring touchdowns. When Cooper Kupp comes back, Cooper's going to steal some targets, but maybe we actually get some touchdowns from Puka. So yeah, I'm just excited about the Rams offense. I'm excited about this game. Hopefully the Joe Burrow thing is not as serious as some of the reports we're getting, because I would really love to see actually Burrow and Stafford kind of duke it out here. But yeah, just Rams, man. Every show, all that stuff, we talk about the Rams, so I don't want to keep hammering that point home. But yeah, if somehow
much more fun Monday night slate for a doubleheader.
Big time. Two really, really fun games. We do got to get out of here. Anything else for week 3 that we did not get a chance to cover when we kind of game by game did? Anything that stuck out to you that you're looking forward to, right, or excited about, or curious about?
Just really interested to see how some of these big games translate to our best ball teams. And I can't wait for bye weeks, because these people that are victory lapping some of their high scoring teams are going to get hit with a dose of reality soon, I think. And I always like to watch people come crashing back down to earth.
That is a great way to wrap this one. We started with me venting about people crashing back to earth with their pearls in their hand. We will be back this week. Tomorrow, we should have a fun special show. I can't announce everything for that yet, but our guy Sacrilegious and myself are going to do a little hand in the dirt, do you know ball type of show tomorrow. Rob has NBA best ball coming with Mike Zakarian, who is one of the best NBA minds out there and best NBA content creators. I am also going to get an NBA best ball draft done here probably Friday. And next week, we're going to dive into the DraftKings in-season best ball tournaments, start getting out ahead of the resurrection drafts that will be coming soon on Underdog. We appreciate you guys hanging with us for these first few weeks. We're about to fire everything back up. So be ready for a lot more content here. And everybody have a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday night. Enjoy week 3. And we will see you guys later this week. Peace.
Woo! Those were some spicy takes. Want to stay up to date with all of the other spicy takes we're going to have over here at Spike Week? Why don't you press that subscribe button below? You turn notifications on, we draft a team, boom, you know about it. We have another spicy take, boom, you know about it. You can be there, you can draft with us. You want to stay up to date? That's how you do it. All right, we'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week.